Tocache, open heart. Tocache has always enjoyed a place in the heart of the Peruvian jungle. But for decades, it had a dark side, condemned to terrorist violence in the 1980s and 1990s. Through an unhappy coincidence, it also marked the high point of drug trafficking at the time. Until 1986, Tocache lived trapped between drug trafficking and terrorism. As the town was a center where everyone gathered, we imagined that sometimes people were detained elsewhere, in another village. They were brought to Cachiyacu to be killed. The executioner would place a noose on him and hang the person. The defeat of terrorism meant that at the start of this century, the Peruvian government could take firm action against drug trafficking, eradicating illegal coca leaf plantations in the Upper Huallaga.
Nos habíamos acostumbrado a traer de Cerro de Pasco.
We were used to bringing manioc and chicken from Cerro de Pasco and Huancayo. We've become so dependent on coca leaf that the only thing we did was to plant coca and become bedazzled by the crop. But in the long term, we hurt ourselves. We have to move towards a solid economy, where alternative crops are providing the future that Tocache residents have always sought. Tocache's success will be a success for all of Peru. The first few months of 2006 were to clear the way for the new history of Tocache. DEVIDA and USAID, with support from the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, are proposing former coca grower communities and families to guide their lives into a new direction. The Global and Sustainable Alternative Development Project in the Tocache area. I believe first one has to recognize the people's efforts to try to make them transition from an illegal economy to a legal one. The posterior sum of efforts of the community, local, regional and national government, along with international cooperation, in a new model today, has the name of the San Martin model, a place where today there's prosperity. Tocache residents' children have a future. Authorities are working for a better destiny. And the central government must try to make these areas viable by creating more infrastructure. The area's associations and cooperatives also provide a possibility to create jobs. Above all today, there's also education to take care of the environment. The new face of Tocache is the one it should always have had. Lacking other options, the farmers adopted a transcendental decision to enter of their own accord into the Alternative Development Program. At first, few families joined. There was uncertainty, fear, mistrust. But concern for the future was to outweigh all this. Before the end of 2006, dozens of communities and thousands of families had set out on the road to development.
I was the one to face up to the coca farmers, and I told them the truth, that they should let us work with the Alternative Development Program, because they can't force us to keep planting coca. We started with 10 people, then we kept growing, getting to 90%. Now we're happy, only the minority of the community stayed behind.
There were many challenges and difficulties on this new road. Worries about insufficient family income during the first few years, or fear of guerrilla groups or drug traffickers are ever present. But the farmers took the right decision, bravely planting crops like cacao, coffee, and pastures for cattle.
It's better to continue in the world of cacao. It's going to be much better for us. We're going to achieve development for our families, development for the community, and thus for the province, as well as all of Peru, as we've carved out an image for Tocache in the eyes of the world.
The more than 6,500 families incorporated into the Alternative Development Program have changed the landscape in Tocache, making an economy dynamic so it no longer depends on coca leaf and drug trafficking. Some 156 communities live off planting and maintaining 8,139 hectares of cacao. over 1,500 hectares of coffee, and some 2,740 hectares of oil-producing palm, including those planted previously by the UN.
De la coca al cacao.
From coca to cacao to palm oil, there's a major difference. Today we earn money, but it's decently spent. There's no more money wasting, drunken binges. People are more concerned with buying equipment, these things that are beneficial for our children. And the parents have changed, as they value their work much more now. The Alternative Development Program has also backed the implementation of more than 811 livestock modules, 186 poultry modules, 121 swine modules, and 107 guinea pig modules, as well as 189 fish farms. With these assets, the people make a living from their efforts, their drive, and their hopes. Together with local governments, communal authorities, grassroots organizations, and productive associations like the Tocache Cooperative, which gathers together 1,200 farmers who are managing 5,000 hectares of cacao, this is becoming the best reference for productive and economic organization in the area, even exporting their produce. In 2006, we managed to export 16 tons of cacao for the first time, and now we're exporting 300 tons. The first interesting contribution for our organization was the trust we had from the Alternative Development Program. But from now on, we also have sustainable technical and administrative project management, as well as social and productive management in the field. The Alternative Development Program also developed 15 infrastructure projects, including electrical systems, bridges, schools, and rural roads. As a work of infrastructure, we have here a drinking water system that has been built thanks to an agreement signed with the PDA to benefit the population. I believe it is a work of infrastructure that is providing a great deal of benefit for the community. Throughout this entire process, aimed at the global development of Tocache, hard-working young men and women have also been involved, underscoring the equality of the sexes, the transparency and governability, and the strengthening of communities and their leadership, reinforcing the change in farmers' behavior with informational and communicative strategies, and a culture that values democracy, participation, peace, and legality.
We used to have coca, which has been eradicated, and we put an end to all that. Then we had the support of the Alternative Development Program, and we're working on it.
El Programa de Desarrollo Alternativo para nosotros ha apoyado muchísimo para...
The Alternative Development Program for us has provided a lot of support to strengthen the Tocache townspeople's skills and help guide them towards strong and positive change. The Tocache Agro-Industrial Cooperative a month ago won an international award at the French Chocolate Salon, the world's most important event for the cacao industry. The change brought about in the people of Tocache is a change of mentality. They now look to a life of legality and see the road to development is via legal crops. These bring with them security, profitable business, and higher living standards for the entire population. It's much better in this environment. Tocache today beats with the intensity of the heart of the Peruvian jungle, bringing life to the green hills irrigated by the Huallaga River. Threats and challenges will persist for a while longer, but they won't make inroads, because the people of Tocache are already firmly treading down the path to a new life.